Well, today at the Quick Speed Shop, we're going to do something different. I'm going to give you the backstory of how I started the channel and how I got into all these crazy cars and builds and stuff and what my history is. So we're going to do that right now. I got a Jenny light. Check it out. Let's get into it. I'm a professional. Don't try this at home. So for me, it started, like every, young kids into cars. My dad was building cars at home in upstate New York. He had a cool, this is back in the early 80s, he had a cool, like, street machine style 72 Chevy truck. Step side was lowered, had a louvered hood, louvered tailgate, Hawaiian blue. Pretty cool truck. Slot mags, a whole 9 yards in the 80s, pretty nice. He had a 57 Chevy, and then in 1983 he bought the yellow 37 Buick Coupe that I've got still to this day. It was an original car he pulled out of a barn. He worked on that all through the 80s and 90s, and I was around when he did that, and got me interested in working on things. I guess the first old car I would have ridden in was my grandfather was doing amateur restorations on his own. He had a 34 Buick, I believe a 34, no, it wasn't 34, 36 Buick sedan he did, and then he did like a 65 or 6 Rambler. He had an old World War II Willys Jeep, and we used to ride around. I had a little kid, I'd ride around with my grandfather in that, and my dad and I would cut firewood on the 59 Willys flatbed truck that I've got out here. And I learned how to drive on that when I was about 13 years old in the woods. We'd go cut firewood, and there's these logging trails, and learned how to drive on that truck. Still got it here. And about 1993, my dad gave me, for my birthday, the 1946 Studebaker truck that I have. It had been in the family since like 69 or so. My uncle bought it originally. My dad had it, and then I got it. I started working on that in 1993, worked on it all the way up till 1999. Got it on the road then when I was in college. The trucks, I put over 30,000 miles on it. It's been to the Studebaker Museum in South Bend, Indiana, all over the place. Originally had a 318 Polysphere motor in it, complete Mopar drivetrain out of my great-grandmother's car, and then I put an AMC drivetrain in it later on in the mid-2000s and flat blacked it. Originally it ran around in gray primer, but that was my first street rodish, old vehicle on the road. My first car that I had in high school was my 84 AMC Eagle Wagon, which I still have out back in the pole barn. And I got that car in 1995. My mom gave it to me. I drove it all through junior and senior years of high school. Did a lot of work with it. Actually had a web page with a web blog or a blog dedicated to it in the 90s when the internet was pretty fresh, 96, 97 time frame. Had the whole build story of that car online. Did tubular front frame rails when they rusted out. I made my own frame rails, put in the Jeep transfer case, homemade lift, about 2-inch lift, custom brush guards, and drove that car about 200,000 miles, spring, summer, and fall, and winter, every year, daily driver from 95 to 09. I had it on the road for quite a while. With that car, I met my friend Jim in 1998. He was in American Motors cars. I got into it more heavy. At one time, I owned 6 American Motors product. I had 4 Eagle Wagons. I had a 83 Spirit DL with a small. It had originally had a 343 in it. Somebody swapped in a 67 Rambler 343, and then I took that engine out and I put in a 79 360 with a BorgWarner T5 5-speed, and I also had a 76 Gremlin DL that I traded my friend Jim a 401 for. I found a 401 at the pick and pull. I pulled it and I traded it to him for that Gremlin. The Gremlin is a cool car, and I flat blacked that with put on a white hockey stick stripe, ran it around 8-slot wheels, the whole 9 yards. It was pretty cool. So about 2006, I had all these American Motors cars. I had a couple of Ford trucks. I had a 97 F-250 old body style heavy duty, and I had an 82 F-100. I decided I wanted to build like older cars. I sold the F-100, which I regret. Don't sell stuff, you'll regret it. I sold that truck, I regretted it. I sold all my American Motors cars except for my original Eagle Wagon. I regret selling the Gremlin. The other Eagles and stuff was fine, but I missed the Gremlin. I wish I hadn't sold that. And I started building. I wanted to build like a rat rod. Rat rods are popular in the mid 2000s, so I started building this Model A truck, which turned out to be my Model A hot rod shop truck, which I still have. I originally built it as a roadster pickup in the kitchen of the rental house I lived in. This long kitchen. I took a cabinet out, did all the fab work in the kitchen, if you can believe it. I did a video on that a little while ago with some of the pictures. Built the chassis, welded the body together, tack welded it together in the kitchen on rubber mats in the house, put the motor together, mocked up all the suspension, tacked it all together, built half the body, took it apart piece by piece, carried it outside, reassembled it outside in a canvas garage, and put that truck on the road in '07. Drove that around quite a bit, all over the place. It's got over 20-something thousand miles on it now. But drove that around, got into the old cars, started collecting more old cars. About 2013, I bought this 37 Ford down at Hershey. I've had this for 9 years now. In 2011, I started building my Model A Sport Coupe, which has turned into a 5-window coupe. It's all traditional hot rod. Over here next door, I'll show you that. And started collecting the cars, and also did some Jeep stuff along the way, some four-wheel drive stuff. I got my Dirt Everyday hat on. Shout out to Fred Williams and Dave Chappelle from Dirt Everyday. I did a restoration first on that 59 Willys I learned how to drive on. I did an amateur restoration on just to hold it together because it was complete junk when I started with it. I did a video on that a long time ago on the channel. Still got that Jeep. Picked up a couple Army Jeep rescues I hope to build. I did the Project Rusty Drunk YJ a couple years ago. That was a parts wrangler, all custom stuff, build it up, 33-inch tires, lift and everything. I just sold that recently. I've done a couple of Ford truck restorations, 95 old body style F-250 4x4, the 95 F-250 Project Green Machine, which I still have. Got in building my boogie van. I built that. I've got a couple older cars I want to build still. I've got the 40 Mercury with the flames on it. Still working on that. This car, almost done. Got a 41 Mercury Coupe out back. Want to build that into a 40s custom tail dragger. Got a couple other ideas I want to do, but right now it's kind of got out of control. We're doing the YouTube thing here. This is all out of my pocket. There's no sponsors, nothing. It's just me building cars in this home garage like anybody can do. I just got a welder, got a Miller welder, affordable Miller welder, hand tools, a couple of DeWalt grinders, the Sawzall, basic hand tools, and you can build. You can go out and do it. You just got to put in the time. You can build stuff like this. Like I've owned over 100 cars. I got 22 of them still right now, and it's all. This is the most expensive car I've ever had right here. This car, and you got to put in the time and put in the work. But you can build a lot of stuff with not a lot of. You don't need all the fancy stuff that all the fancy people got. You can build a lot of cars. I mean, I build a truck in my kitchen. If you want to do it, anybody can do it. So that's the backstory. The YouTube channel, I've been doing it pretty much full time, 2 videos a week since 2018, and I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. I'm going to film what I'm working on. Hope you guys appreciate it and enjoy watching it, and maybe I'll go somewhere someday and we can do the big stuff with the big tools. Who knows? But in the meantime, I'm here at the Quick Speed Shop building this stuff, building old cars, Jeeps, whatever. You'll see it here. I really appreciate everybody watching, and we'll see you again in the shop building something cool.